My name is Aura Lynn. I never went to church. I hung out with the older crowd. We drank and we started partying. At a really young age of 13, I was walking home from a party on the beach. I lived in New Jersey. A guy from the party was walking me home. It was actually my first sexual encounter against my will. It kind of kept me from having any relations. I was a little scared after that. I continued to party. At one point, my mom had to send me to Vineland Children's Residential Treatment Center, a co-ed place for bad kids. We came to Florida. I quit school, and I was going to go get my GED and go to work. My daughter was born in 91. 1993, I had my first DUI. So I had many bouts where I went to the county jail for a little while, a couple days here and there, and my mom would always bail me out. I had a violation of probation, and you can't bond out. So I was stuck in the county for 90 days. I got the news that my mom had cancer. Through that time, I saw those nurses, as they cared for my mom, and I finally knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wanted to be a nurse. I graduated with my RN. I bought my first new car. And I went and bought my first new home, and I had a real job at the hospital. Things were good. I was feeling really good about myself and life. At the hospital, there were some ladies, nurses like to work hard, party hard, and I kind of know some people in the hood, and they wanted some Coke, and so I knew where to get it. That's where I met my now ex-husband. He was not a good influence in my life, drank a lot, did some cocaine, sold cocaine. I got pregnant with Jordan. And then a friend of mine told me that he got my friend pregnant. I immediately went home and packed all his things. I was, by the way, clean and sober at that point. When tragedy struck, I almost went and had an emotional breakdown. I remember that night, my daughter, she had recently been saved. She's like, "Mommy, just come to church with me. You'll feel better." And I was like, I don't want to hear anything about church. I don't want to hear anything about God. Got my little black dress on, and I went out. We went to one or two different bars. I had a drink or two. We leave there. On the way back, I'm on 1792. I fall asleep, and I hear a big, loud crash. Boom. And I wake up like, where am I at? What's going on? And so my windshield has a big gash in it. And then the police come, and he says, you hit somebody. Two gentlemen come, detectives, and they bring me into this room like a bad dream. And they have this little envelope, folder, and it says homicide. I just remember how tight the handcuffs were and how they were holding my arm really deep in. I really was just literally in a state of shock. Somebody's going to pinch me. This is really a bad dream, and I'm going to wake up pretty soon. It took a minute. I said, wait a minute, do you mean he's dead? How can I forgive myself for what I had done? I couldn't believe that after being sober for 2 years, that I allowed myself to go back to the same way that I was. The person who saved lives now took a life. Somebody's going to pinch me. This is really a bad dream, and I'm going to wake up pretty soon. It took a minute. I said, wait a minute, do you mean he's dead? How can I forgive myself for what I had done? I couldn't believe that after being sober for 2 years, that I allowed myself to go back to the same way that I was. The person who saved lives now took a life. I remember driving to Johnny Polk in the back of the car. I get to the holding cell, and on the wall is Exodus 14:14. Stand still, that he will fight for me. Really met God there. He really showed me himself. I learned so much about him and about his ways and his word, and I became the chaplain's assistant and went to every service they had. I went to Every time they opened that door, I was there. I was in my word. I was teaching back in the cell. This is somebody who never had a Bible in their hand. I had to really work through some tough things. I really had to work on forgiving my ex-husband and forgiving myself, which I think was the last and hardest process. The fellow that I hit, he was homeless. I felt like I needed closure. I felt like I needed to help in some kind of way for what I had done. How can I forgive myself? How can you not forgive yourself if Jesus forgave you? He died on the cross for everything that I ever did. He already knew that I was going to do this jacked up stuff. He already knew the mistakes I was going to make, and he still loved me. Forgiveness is a process. Just really grateful. I was released of 22 years probation. They restored my nursing license. I became a legal nurse consultant. I have a clothing closet, angelsofmercyministries.org. I'm restored. You know, God has restored everything. He really has given me back my home. He's given me back my family, my career. He's fought for me ever since that moment. You know, he's always fought for me throughout my whole entire life. I've seen him always there by my side, even though I didn't pay him any mind, even though I lived my life the way I wanted to. He was always waiting, just waiting for me to open my eyes finally and see that he was the way. Every wrong turn I made, he made that right, you know, and he helped me. I have a story. God gave me a testimony. He allowed me to go through some tough things in life. He brought me out of that miry clay, and I'm a new creature in him.